Morning, everyone. Welcome to our last meeting of 2020. We have a very special meeting today. We are going to be giving the Dave Holliday Faith Williams Leadership Award today. But we're going to get started, as always, with our invocation led by Faye Harriet, followed by our pledge led by Dave Williamson. Whenever you're ready, Faye. You have to unmute yourself.
God, as we celebrate the birth of your Son during this season and always, help us to live our lives in charity, loyalty, tolerance, and integrity. And especially in this unusual life we're living this year, help us to remember to be kind and patient with the people who love us and those with whom we work and interact each day, so that peace and goodwill may abide among us this day and always. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Good morning. Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Faye. And Dave, do we have any guests on today? If you have a guest here, or if you are a guest, please unmute yourself and let's introduce our guests. We will be introducing our speaker in just a little bit. Okay, no other guests. All right, well, we are going to jump right in because we have a very special award to give today. This is the third, going to be the third recipient of this award. We give it out around the holidays every year, and it is the Dave Holliday and Faith Williams Leadership Award. The award recognizes a quiet and consistent leader that lives our motto, service above self, promotes Dublin AM Rotary by their contribution to the good of all, and whose character is unwavering. They must be an active member of Dublin AM Rotary for at least 7 years. They have to be in good standing, have good attendance, show continuous leadership in our club and involvement in committees. They must have held an office, been on the board, or worked as a chair on one or more committees, and willingly, give leadership and share their knowledge with the club. The nominee is known to most club members as a cornerstone of Dublin AM Rotary, a reliable go-to person, willing to assist as needed, and enriches the club through their continued commitment to the club. So this is a very prestigious award, and it's for long-term commitment to our club. And I want to first, before we name this year's recipient, go back and look at the first two and ask them to say a few words. The first recipient 3 years ago was Claudia Trusty. Claudia, would you like to say something about the award?
It was very shocking, first of all, when you get something that is this special, and I have it right here. You can't really, you can see it. But I think that because it was in recognition of the contributions that Dave and Faith have made to our club, it was really very meaningful and humbling. This club's meant a lot to me in the last 20 years, lifetime friendships, and lots of ways that I've learned about Dublin and the world through Rotary. And so, yeah, it meant a lot then, and it still does.
Thank you, Claudia. Our second recipient last year was Rich Weber. Rich, would you like to say something about the award?
Yeah, I just, when I started, when I joined the Rotary Club many years ago, Dave and Faith just represented what to me a Rotarian should be. And so to get an award that they've created meant the world to me. And just everything that this club accomplishes and everything are here in local and around the world. I think having this award that was specially made by two of our members that again, just to me exemplified what a Rotarian should be meant everything to me. And I was, like Claudia, very shocked to receive it, and hope that I can live up to it.
Well, you already have, Rich, and obviously from our two past recipients, you can see these are people who have made our club what it is today. Though today's recipients no different. And this award is given by our foundation. The foundation nominates and elects the winner. And so I'm going to call on Susan Robinall to give this award today. Unmute yourself, Susan.
Wow, good morning.
Okay. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna mute myself because you're on.
Okay. Good morning, everyone.
Good
We
morning.
have a recipient award of Dave Williamson for 2020 for this special award. So congratulations. Amy and I are here delivering this award this morning.
I see what you mean by being taken surprised. Both previous recipients, I'm flabbergasted, which for me is very unusual. I'm excited. I can't thank you enough.
Congratulations, Dave.
Oh, wow. That's
So I just have to tell
wonder
you
where you were. I'm
that
watching where you're getting in your
that we
car.
got approached by two of his neighbors asking what we were here for. So we almost got the police called on us.
Wow.
Well,
Well,
this is something else.
congratulations,
Thank
Dave.
you all.
Definitely well deserved. And would you like to say anything to the club, Dave?
Well, it's hard for me to talk right now. Because I totally am surprised and I deeply appreciate it, because I've tried to represent what Rotary means, service above self, and it's for this to come is just amazing. Thank you.
Well, you join an elite group of 3 of our members now, and congratulations to you, Dave. No one can doubt what you do for our club every year in and year out, and the leadership you show. So thank you. Let's give a big hand to Dave.
Thank
Big
you.
virtual hand.
You are so welcome. So well deserved.
Well, a lot to live up to.
We'll put you on a few more committees next week, Dave.
That's cool. Wow.
Your neighbors all know we're here.
Oh, is that right?
We almost got the police called on us twice.
You're sitting out in
Uh-huh.
front.
This guy comes up and he goes, who are you here to see?
Yeah, they parked about, 5 minutes ago, I guess it
Yeah.
was, because they're talking I'm watching you on the screen. It's crazy.
Wow. You open up your award. There's 2 things in there.
Well,
Hey, Susan, can you take a picture? Because all I'm getting are screenshots.
Of course. Yes, we'll
Thank
definitely
you.
do it. We're opening up the award right now.
Okay, thank you.
Dave, one of the things that
wow.
comes with the award is a donation by Dave Holliday and Faith Williams to the charity of your choice. And that's really, really very meaningful too.
Oh, that's amazing. That's here.
Yep.
All done. Great, thank you.
You just need to let us know what.
I'll do that. Thank you very much. This is,
Thank you, Dave.
I
Congratulations.
think it's hysterical that we got Dave. We got Dave. He
did.
wasn't in the know.
totally.
Totally
Thank you very
agree.
much.
It's about time.
All right.
I want to give a big thank you to Dave Holliday and Faith Williams, who set the standard for this award through their service through our club for many years, and who have now sponsored this award, and that's why it's named after them. And so big thank you to Dave Holliday and Faith Williams. Let's give them a big hand too.
Amen.
Amen.
Okay, so we will move on. You want to show the award there, Dave? Okay. Does anyone have any announcements this morning? We got time for a few announcements if we have any before we move on to the speaker.
Dave, just a quick announcement. I know everybody's been in anticipation about the results of our ballot from last week. The board was unanimously approved, so there's a relief. We're not going to wait, a month to announce it. We're done.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Claudia. Other announcements this morning? Be sure to unmute yourself. Okay, well then we will move on. I am going to call on Calvin Gebhardt to introduce our speaker for today.
Thank you, David. Our speaker today is Elliott Castello. He is with the Alpha Group out of Delaware. It's an exciting agency that provides a very viable service to the community and especially to the students that they have in their program. Elliott is a 2004 graduate of The Ohio State University, who began his professional career as a group leader and a clinician at Star Columbus, a residential treatment center for adolescents. In 2019, Elliott entered the vocational rehabilitation field as a job developer with functional training services located in Columbus, and eventually assumed the duties of supervisor for this department. In 2014, the opportunity to expand the scope of services available to provided to individuals with disabilities presented itself as the Director of Community Service roles at the Alpha Group. This position has opened up to the possibilities of assisting those in need with not only their employment goals, but also with inclusion in the world around them through the other means as well. Elliott currently lives at the Lewis Center with his wife and 2 daughters. Elliott, I have the great opportunity to have you present your Alpha Group program to us today. Welcome.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it. And thank you folks again for having me. I've got a PowerPoint to share with you and all that kind of good stuff, but just a couple things off the top. We've been in Dublin for a few years now. We at Alpha have been providing services in that area just kind of remotely for quite a while now, but we officially opened up shop here and opened up an actual physical office, and it has just been absolutely phenomenal being a part of that community. We're right over off of Tuller and all the exciting things that are happening over there, and so it's really been a treat to get to be a part of that. I'll share a little bit with you this morning about what all we do, and then hopefully maybe have some questions at the end about some ways that we might be able to partner together in the future. Obviously all this stuff comes with the caveat of The way that we're doing things now is not the way we are usually doing things, but we, as I'm sure everybody on the call here has found some interesting ways to make it work. And you know, we think that there's even some things about this experience that are actually going to make us even a bit more efficient at our jobs going forward, and be able to learn and do some new things. So let me share this with you here and pull it up. I'm just going to assume we're rocking and rolling, but if anybody has any issues or anything, somebody yell at me and let me know if it's not if we're not coming across well. So this is, as mentioned, we're the Alpha Group. We're the Alpha Group of Delaware. Technically, that's our full name, but we have since expanded pretty significantly outside of Delaware, and we'll talk about that here in a moment. So eventually, I don't know, maybe that Delaware part will have to fall off because we're not just of Delaware anymore. We're quite a bit more expansive with the footprint. I've got a video here that displays a little bit of some highlights of some of the things we do with the individuals that we work with. And I think this will be a nice way to kind of just give you a quick 2-minute introduction to everything. And then I'll share a little bit with you afterwards. So one thing that I hope you saw there that I think sets us apart from other agencies that do the type of work we do in terms of working with individuals with disabilities is hopefully one of the takeaways from that video is there was a lot going on there. You saw a lot of different stuff. You saw people doing community activities. You saw transportation vehicles. You saw fundraising events. You saw people at work. That's kind of our goal, is to be able to be a one-stop shop for individuals and their families in need. Right now, we currently have about 700 members. Members are what we refer to our individuals taking part in services as. That's the current list of counties we're serving most regularly. So you've got a pretty expansive footprint here in Central Ohio, and then we're kind of starting to weasel our way northeast a little bit, some of those more rural counties that way. In terms of how much we do in actual Franklin County, we kind of have a little bit of a unofficial barrier, so to speak, that's kind of like 270 and around, including like Dublin and Westerville, and then kind of going north that way. And that's only because once you dip down into proper Columbus, which is where I started this work, it's a whole different ball game once you start going down there, only because it's obviously much more expansive. So we try to kind of keep our footprint fairly tenable, but also expanding when we see the opportunities grow. 100 plus staff members. That's a huge growth. As mentioned before, I started in 2015. And when I started in 2015, Alpha had 52 staff. So in that amount of time, we've doubled plus. Actually, it's probably closer, probably around 120 now. So over the last 5 years or so, we've almost doubled in size in terms of staff. A big part of our relationship that we develop with the community is through interns and mentorship programs with some of the partners listed on the screen here. And then when I get in a minute and talk a little bit about the services that we do, I can share a little bit more about how those all relate. But a big part of everything that we do is related to our kind of coordination and relationship with the members of the community, whether it's employers or educational institutes, businesses, schools, as far as high school students go. So a kind of cohesiveness between these elements are all very important to the services we provide as a whole. As an organization that is a 501(c) and working with the individuals with disabilities that we do, we have a couple different funding sources. The three main ones are Medicare waiver billing services. That primarily is what funds our transportation, our day and work training services, and what we call supported employment. The state agency called Opportunities for Ohioans with Disabilities is the main funding source for the job placement and support arm of Alpha, which is my division. So my division, Community Services, is primarily responsible for pretty much everything related to work. So anything with anyone who's looking to get a job, job coaching on the job, we get most of the funding for that from the state of Ohio through an organization called Opportunities for Ohioans with Disabilities. And then we also have a pretty big fundraising arm as well. We use those fundraising funds primarily for new vehicles, to expand new programs, to look to grow new elements of existing programs. But those are the three main arms of the funding that's equally as important. And as you can see, the need for that has only increased over the years as the services have grown and the individuals that we're serving have been interested in more services. Three main locations right now. On the left is our Delaware office at 1000 Alpha Drive. Up in the top right is the Tuller Road location in Dublin. And down on the bottom right is the newest location in Westerville. It's probably the least exciting one to look at from the outside, but it's probably one of the most interesting ones on the inside in Westerville. So we previously had, if you're familiar with Westerville at all, we previously had a small little office space over by Giamarco's, which was just a tiny little spot that I worked out of, two of my other members of the community services team, and we had a small group that would come in there for day services. Well, we quickly outgrew that in about 2 years or so and needed to expand. So we just purchased this about 7,000 square foot space in Westerville. And we were actually planning on doing a whole grand opening situation back in March. Well, obviously things didn't quite work out that way. So we've had this brand new space ready to go that's been about me and 3 other staff members in for the duration of these 8 months in this big office building. But once we do get back to doing in-person services, the new Westerville location is going to have a lot of neat new kind of cohesive job training elements to it as well. So we have our integrated day program, which is one of the main core services that we provide. And in that integrated day program, the kind of expanse of what we do is pretty wide reaching. Our integrated day program is meant to provide an opportunity for adults with disabilities for community engagement and interaction throughout the day. The old antiquated term that you may be familiar with or may have heard back in the day is what, sometimes it would be called adult daycare, things of that nature. So if you've heard those terms before, the new way that we look at it is it's not babysitting. It's integrated services where we're getting individuals connected within the community. So in each of these programs, they are out and about 5 days a week, pretty much the entire day. Services run for about 5 to 6 hours a day. The antiquated idea is that you've got people with disabilities who are coming into a building and sitting and watching movies or doing puzzles or, making crafts and that kind of stuff. But our goal for the integrated adult day is to be out and about. So our members actually are the ones that create the schedule for what they're interested in doing. They devise their schedule with some guidance from staff each month to figure out what they want to do. Some like to do, they've gone to the casino, they go to Clippers games, they go to WWE wrestling events, they go to the mall, they go to the movies, they go to the Y and the Westerville Rec Center to go swimming, the Dublin Rec Center to go swimming. We have a boxing class that we participate in 2 times a week at Immortal Martial Arts in Lewis Center. It's actually owned and operated by Matt Brown, who is a former UFC fighter who's become a good partner of ours. So our group goes and does fitness classes twice a week. So the idea with Integrated Day is, essentially doing the things that probably most of us on the call here do for leisure. We're attempting to bring that into structure during the day for folks so they have the opportunities as well. There's a big volunteer component of this as well. They volunteer at senior centers in both Dublin and Westerville, Stockyns Horse Farm, a lot of different areas, several different pantries and things of that nature. So kind of a service element to it as well. So really just trying to create a well-balanced and well-rounded schedule for these folks during the day. Another component of our services is what we refer to as supportive living. Supportive living does have some crossover with adult day, but supportive living is more individualized. So supportive living is when you're going to be thinking about folks that need a little bit more one-on-one attention and support. So they provide, as it kind of mentions here, as little or as much support as needed to maintain a well-balanced and healthy lifestyle. So it could be everything from helping an individual go grocery shopping all the way to someone who's in need of assistance with self-care. So toileting, showering, feeding, that's kind of one end of the spectrum. The other end of the spectrum is that it's somebody who we're working with, and really what we do is a couple hours a week, go to the grocery store with them to help them make good choices when they're picking out their groceries, or help them with their laundry and things like that. So pretty wide range of services in supportive living, but the whole idea, as much as the individual is comfortable with, is helping them find that same level of independence. Transportation, that's an updated look at our fleet of vehicles that we have. It's turning into quite a little army. Sometimes when they're all on the road, it looks like something out of Mad Max when we've got all these Alpha vehicles just cruising along. We have more than 31 vehicles at this point, providing transportation in a variety of different fashions. So we're taking people to work, we're taking people to doctor's appointments, we are taking them to community engagement things. But if you've seen them, you've probably seen them out and about. You might have seen them parked outside of a Kroger waiting to pick up somebody to bring them home from work. You might have seen them with a group of those folks in the shuttles going to an event in Dublin somewhere. But those white vehicles with the blue logo on it, that's us. And our community transportation is meant to, again, kind of just be that additional arm that's going to open up some opportunities for these folks. Work training. Another element, obviously, we're trying to build independence for folks who want to work and get them up to a level of competitive employment and independence that they're interested in. Clearly I'm biased, but I think that we're the best of the best here in Central Ohio when it comes to working with individuals with disabilities and helping them prepare for work. And that's due to the level of attention to detail and I think uniqueness that we see each individual through a lens of, well, let's find what's going to be the right fit for them. Work does not mean the same thing to everybody. Because somebody wants to work does not mean that they have to work 40 hours a week. It doesn't mean that they have to work 20 hours a week. Sometimes for our gang, a job is something that they go and do twice a week for 4 hours. Transparency is that a lot of those that we're working with are not working because if they don't work, they're going to be evicted or be unable to buy food. Work for probably, I would say 75 to 80% of our folks is a way to feel additional layers of community engagement and involvement and provide them some supplemental income on top of other benefits that they're receiving. So work means more than just a paycheck. It's a sense of engagement and fulfillment outside of just a monetary gain. And that leads to community employment, which again is the main wheelhouse of my day-to-day stuff. Community employment are those that we're working with who we are getting, for lack of a better word, we're helping get real jobs. So what I mean by that is that these are folks who are hired with an employer. They are that company's employee, and we are just there to support them. So Kyra, the young lady in blue there, she's an example. She works at Kroger. She is a Kroger employee. She gets her taxes from Kroger. She is a member of the Kroger union, all that kind of good stuff. We just had a role in helping her get there to Kroger. Our job developers have created wonderful relationships with employers all throughout Dublin, Westerville, Delaware, Northern Columbus. And we help advocate on these folks' behalf when they come to us and say they're interested in a job. And then if they're fortunate enough to get hired, we have job coaches that go on site with them. The job coach's goal is to be as invisible as possible. They're kind of like ninjas. So their goal is to be there, help the individual learn the skills and get comfortable with independence, and then kind of fade out so they can continue on independently. And then we just check in on them here and there to see what they need, or if they have any issues, we're obviously there to support them, or any opportunities as well. So if Kyra would be interested in transferring to the bakery at Kroger, and the Kroger would say, hey, yeah, she's doing a great job as a lot attendant. Let's give her that opportunity. She's interested in learning how to bake and decorate cakes. And if they would provide her that, then we would have a job coach that would then jump back in to help work with her on those skills as well. Our community partnership, these are just a couple buzzwords of names of programs that we have. Career Connections is a summer program that we do for high school students. Project Search, you may or may not have been familiar with that. It's an international program that's a collaboration between a school district, an individual that works with, or excuse me, an agency that works with individuals with disabilities such as ourselves, and a host business. So we have two Project Search. We have one at Grady Memorial Hospital in Delaware. We were supposed to have a new one that was going to start this year at Nationwide Children's Hospital, but obviously due to circumstances that didn't happen. So that group is currently working down at Life Care Alliance right now. And that's a group of 8 high school student interns that work with 2 job coaches in internships within the host business. So at Grady, our interns there are working everywhere from the lab to sterile processing in the hospital to prepping ER beds to prepping patient rooms to the cafeteria. So it's a little bit more of a long-term in-depth training program that's available to high school students, and a really neat opportunity for some high school students to, with individuals with disabilities, high schoolers, to forego parts of their senior year. And then they forego the academic portion of that to focus on work training skills, as long as they have all their credits and everything in line. And then Bridges, which is just our internal kind of pathway program to try to get some of these folks kind of additional and ready for work. So there's a lot of nuance to the work programming that we do. But if there's anything about any of this that appeals to you or to your business or someone you may know, don't be afraid to ask, because the thing that I pride us on is our ability to kind of think about things outside the box and kind of try new stuff. The last big arm would be our fundraising. We kind of have 2 main fundraisers. One is our casino night that happens around every February or March or so. Really great event that we do that raises money we use, again, typically towards transportation or for additional programming needs. And then our Zoom Duck Derby and Wellness Walk, which is usually around like July, August or so at the Columbus Zoo. I use the Zoom Duck Derby as kind of the anecdotal thing of when I knew that Alpha was kind of joining the big kids table, or I should say the grown-ups table with this world. When I first started 5 years ago, we used to do the Duck Derby up at Mingo Park in Delaware. If you're familiar with Mingo Park, it's a nice park. It's got a little kind of meandering, I think I'm being generous calling it a river, a large stream that goes through it. And we would put the ducks in and they would race down, and we would pick the ducks out at the end, and we would have prizes. And I would be up the night before duct taping together 2-liter pop bottles to make ring toss games for kids who were going to come. And now here we are. This was the third year this year that we've now done this in collaboration with the Columbus Zoo, which is quite a leap from me duct taping together Pepsi bottles in order to make ring toss games, that now the zoo sees us as a collaborative partner that they're interested in being a part of and allowing us to have an event there. So it's a really wonderful event that we do that raises a lot of money, again, for our folks and for different vehicle opportunities as well as programming. And then we do a paint night. Typically this would be happening right now, but obviously circumstances don't dictate that, where we would get together and do some painting for fundraising and do some different projects as well. It's always been a really wonderful attended event, and look forward to getting back to that next year and maybe some other iterations of that along the way. And each around October or so, we host a thing called our Pairings with Alpha event. And that is an annual event where we like to recognize folks who are the partners that have been the kind of biggest contributors throughout the year. Previous award winners for my division, the community services, have been Kroger. So we recognized Kroger both locally and nationally, Panera Bread, and then this year's was Advanced Auto in Delaware, who has been a wonderful community employment partner as well, hiring several of our folks and giving some great work training opportunities. Last little bit here before taking any questions, just wanted to kind of let you know just some about the ways that COVID has impacted the way that we do things. Obviously, the crux of our services are dependent on seeing people and working with people face to face, and providing both a service level and a customer service level experience for those that we work with. Well, around mid-March to June, we closed down all of those services completely. So we were not doing any face-to-face services at all. We switched to completely virtual. We were having the folks that you saw in all those pictures going on those outings, all those members, our staff were able to work with them, and we created some virtual hangouts for folks, which was pretty cool. So ways for our members that we serve to still get to see each other and hang out with each other during the day. Eventually, we slowly started to bring, once we got a handle on PPE measures and things in that nature, we slowly started to bring folks back to in-person services, but it looks much different. So we're operating in a very small group setting now, where previously we would have outings where we would have anywhere from, I would say, 10 to 16 people going on outings during the day. We're operating those in only small groups of 4 right now. We've allowed both frontline staff and other team members to work virtually as well. Clearly I am. It's my home fridge there with my kids' artwork on it, not my one at work. So we're all doing a lot of virtual stuff right now, as I'm sure most folks are. But throughout this whole time, we continued all of those in-person services for that supportive living. So we did not stop providing care and services for those that had more intensive needs. So those that needed assistance with bathing, toileting, getting groceries, we were able to continue those all safely during this time while following CDC guidelines. And we did an entire program over the summer virtually, working with high school students. So where normally we might have been taking those high school students out in small groups during the summer and doing in-person work training stuff, we did it all virtually this summer. And it was incredible to see how resilient those students were. But it does have an impact. We just kind of ran these numbers the other day. Total loss of program revenue as of this month, $689,825, which is obviously not a small chunk of change in terms of hits to revenue during this time. But we've been able to sustain and kind of persevere through the Paycheck Protection Program, rebates from BWC, and our partnering agency with Ohio Department of Developmental Disabilities and Opportunities for Ohioans with Disabilities have been flexible with the way that they provided some of their funding for us as well. And we've been fortunate to maintain 80% of our staff during this time. So I talk about it regularly, that the thing that makes this all work, it's not the name Alpha, it's not the website, it's not the programs, but it's the staff members who show up every day and provide the experience for these individuals. That goes for those that are working in supportive living to job development, They all do have job descriptions, but the job descriptions aren't the thing that gets the job done. It's the people behind them. So as much as we're aware of the wonderful experiences we have with those that we serve, we're also equally as appreciative and aware of the fact that it only happens because of the level of staff we have. So that's it. That's Alpha. It's a lot of information. I just probably fire hosed you with about 20 minutes of stuff there. But the main takeaway is that, you know, we find ways to partner. We find ways to be creative about the services we provide. And since we've been proper in Dublin and hung our shingle, that's only compounded a great deal. Any specific questions anybody has about any services or just anything at all? Fire away.
Elliott, this is John Williamson. This is outstanding what you're doing, I think. A great asset contribution to the community. Two things. One, how do you connect with your clients? And two, what have been the negative effects you've seen with this 10 months worth of COVID going on?
Yeah, great question. So to the first question, how do we connect? A couple different ways. The funding sources that I mentioned before, well, I shouldn't say we don't. We don't usually see services ever being self-funded, right? So if somebody would call us up and say, hey, my nephew's cousin's neighbor works with you guys, and I have my son or daughter who would also like to receive your services. That's great. We can talk to them and give them all the information, but we would then refer them over to County Board of Disabilities to get signed up for services with them, or opportunities for Ohioans with disabilities if they were looking for work. We do a lot of transition nights. We do a lot of provider fairs. So we're out and about a lot, just kind of having our name out there. To be honest with you, a lot of stuff happens from either just our referral sources sending people our way, or advocating for us when they're working with folks, or kind of word of mouth, really, at this point. So if anyone is interested in our services, they can call us up. They can go to the website. They can certainly just say, I mean, I love that question. I love when somebody says, hey, I think I've got somebody who would benefit from you guys' services, but I have no idea what to do. We can walk folks through that process. That's never something to shy anybody away. And then, you know, I would say, you know, the biggest negative effect over these past couple months has been, again, you know, that what we do is based on interaction, right? Like the crux of what we do is based on seeing each other, of spending time around each other. It's helping these folks that we get to spend time with each day feel normalized in the community, at work, at you know, volunteer opportunities. So that's the role that I always see us playing the biggest part of, is advocates and kind of educators and teachers for how that should look. So when you take that element out, when you take out that element of just being able to be around and be together, there's certainly a disappointment that comes from that. And I think we saw that from some of our members. But I think our staff did an absolutely incredible job of making virtual experiences that were engaging and that were fun. So when they were getting our gang, the folks you see in these pictures on Zoom calls, like the one we're all on here this morning, they weren't all just sitting there staring at each other. They were playing games. They were doing virtual movie watches together. So they were broadcasting a movie and they were sitting there and all talking about it and laughing about it while they're watching it. So it's unfortunately not that fancy of an answer, but the biggest answer would be just not being around each other. Because can you do this job virtually? Yeah, I guess, but it's not the same. Me working from home is not the same as me being in the office and getting to be around all these wonderful gang on a daily basis.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
We got time for one more question. Does somebody have one? I have a quick question if no one else does, Elliott. I'm amazed at the scale and reach that the Alpha Group has achieved. And I'm curious, how did the group get started? Like, was it one person with a mission, or what was the origination of this back in 1970 something?
Yeah, great question. So actually started off as a part of the Delaware County Board to a certain degree, right? So if you've heard of the idea of privatization, it started off the original iteration of all this looked like a component that was intermeshed right with county board services. So it was just kind of a group of people who were providing those services, but also worked at the county board. And then I think at this point, my math might be a little off, but I think it was about, I want to say it was about 15, 19 years ago, before my time, Alpha took the leap to privatize. So those folks who were intermeshed with their, through collaboration with the county board, made the choice to privatize and split off into its own entity of being Alpha. So it wasn't really, it's what a great, I've never been asked that question before. Yeah, it's not a thing where there is like a, there's not a Bob Alpha, right? Or whatever. It was like where it came from. It was just like a group of people who were doing a thing, and then that thing split off into its own thing. And then now it's just, it's like wildfire, man. Even in the 5 years that I've been here, like I said, the growth and expansion has been insane. When you look at going from 50 staff to, I think we're at about 120 now, to doing fundraising events with the zoo. I never would have imagined that. That was always the goal. That, when I started, we had one office that was in Delaware, and now we have three. One in Dublin, one in Delaware, and one in Westerville, and each of those are their own kind of standalone entities. So, and it's not going anywhere. This is a service that is not going anywhere. We're not going to wake up tomorrow morning and there's all of a sudden not going to be people with disabilities, right? There's not going to be high school students with disabilities who don't want to work. Like, it's not, and the community, the normalcy of what we do is a big part of how this has grown and changed too. So I guess that would be the last thing I would say about how it started. I think it started with a group of core people that were like, we want to do some good stuff. Why it's growing is because how the work that we do is viewed within the community is changing. It's more normalized. The idea about seeing a job coach working with somebody at a Kroger is not weird anymore. When I first started doing this 10 years ago, if I walked into a Kroger and I said, hey, my name's Elliott, I'm working with this young man with a disability and I'm his job developer helping him look for a job, they would look at me like I had lobsters crawling out of my ears. But now all of our job developers and job coaches are pretty much on first name basis with all the management teams at these places. These places call us when they need people. We'll get phone calls from businesses all the time saying, hey, we need a couple people. So that's the way that it's changing. So the way that it started is pretty simple. It started with people with good ideas who wanted to do good things, but the way that it's changing and growing is because it's being embraced by the community and support from folks like yourself, from everybody on this call who helps, get the word out and see if there's a way ever that we fit within your business as well.
That is an incredible story, Elliott. We thank you for being here to share with us today. I'm going to call you Bob Alpha from now on. Your name is Bob Alpha.
That works.
You can unshare your screen now if you want to.
Yeah.
But thank you for being here, the work you're doing. Thank you for the work you're doing in the community, helping so many people achieve independence and fulfillment in their lives. It's incredible. And what a great story.
Thank you.
Let's give Elliott a virtual round of applause. Thank you. Our next meeting, this was our last meeting of this year. Our next meeting is in 3 weeks, January the 8th, and we will hear from our own Dr. Todd Hoadley of Dublin City Schools, which should be interesting. I know he's in a pressure cooker with navigating the COVID crisis. So be here January 8th for that. Our quote this week comes from Marianne Radmacher. This holiday season, may your walls know joy, may every room hold laughter, and may every window open to great possibility. Thank you all for being here. Have a wonderful Christmas, New Year's with whoever you can celebrate with this year. And God bless everybody. And thanks for being Dublin AM Rotarians.
Thanks, Elliott. Congratulations, Dave.
Congratulations. Thanks,
Congratulations,
everybody.
Yeah,
Dave.
congratulations.
Dave.
Dave.
Congratulations. Thanks so much.
Bravo,
Here's to
Dave.
2021.
Hey,
Yeah.
Dave,
What's in your orange juice, Dave?
Everyone, bye. Have a good holiday.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Roberta.
Bye.
Holidays.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Happy holidays.
I'm just glad that Dave was dressed for the introduction of the trophy.
Yeah, he wasn't sitting there in his boxer shorts.
Yeah. Hi, Dave. Congratulations again.
That was a great plan, by the way. Thanks for doing that, Susan.
Yeah, and Amy.
And Amy, too. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.